there's a brand new movie out called, at least it's opening up this weekend, called Only the Brave, the true story of the Granite Mountain Hotshots. And it's that firefighter movie that you've probably seen a couple of trailers for. It's got a pretty impressive cast. You're talking about, obviously, Josh Brolin, Jeff Bridges, Taylor Kitsch, Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly. And it's based on a true story. And I am a sucker for these kind of heroic films based on true stories and real life heroes. And so, and if anybody of you know about the actual story of the Granite Mountain Hotshots, you know it is a pretty remarkable story. And the stuff that goes down there. And I really do love stories about real heroes. And don't get me wrong, I love my superhero films. I really do. But stories about real life, real honest to God heroes who have saved real lives and saved, real towns and things like that. And this movie is that. It captures the heart of that beautifully. Now, let me talk about for a second one of the big negative things about this movie for a minute, okay? And this is the biggest negative thing, and unfortunately, it kind of hangs like a wet blanket over the entire movie. But the big negative thing about this movie is that it is way too many scenes are done too way on the nose. And you can tell that with the dialogue, and especially with the dialogue, because there are certain things in movies that you can tell with an actor's look or with something happening. Show the audience things happening. But here's an example. Let's say you had a movie. Okay, this isn't in Only the Brave, but let's say you've got a movie where the guy's lifelong dream was to make ice cream. And he makes some ice cream and gets his friend to test it. And the point of the scene is to express that the ice cream is not turning out the way that this guy wants it to turn out. A good filmmaker will have somebody taste it and go, it could use some work, and move on like that. There, you've communicated it. The way Only the Brave takes that scene, and again, this scene is not in the movie. I'm just giving you as an example about how this movie treats certain scenes. The way the movie treats that scene is that the guy tastes it and goes, this is beyond a shadow of a doubt the worst ice cream I've ever had. I know this is your dream to make ice cream, but you need to doubt your dreams now, my friend, because I have tasted your ice cream, and the ice cream is not living up to the worthy name of somebody who wants to produce ice cream for a living and their life. And then it cuts over to the guy. Now I am feeling bad because it is my dream to make ice cream, and I have made some ice cream that you have not liked. Clearly my skills as an ice cream maker might not be up to the snuff of a world-class ice cream maker. You see the difference? One's really on the nose. One is more subtle, but both communicate the same message. And I found over and over and over and over and over again in Only the Brave, they went the other way. They went way over the top, way on the nose, laying out everything in verbal diarrhea that we as an audience member could have picked up with glances or looks or minor things that you show us that we would have got no problem. Instead, the movie hammers you over the head many, many times, oftentimes trying to create false emotionality, if that's even a word, in the film. And that's unfortunate because aside from that one big glaring flaw, and that flaw ruins some of the characters, because the Miles Teller character is actually a fascinating character. And he's a character that has a drug problem. But they do that over your heads like, oh man, I'm so high. And look at the way I'm walking down the sidewalk. Like, again, it's that same principle of hammering you over the head. You guys have all seen movies like that. With what it is the director's trying to get across, instead of just giving us subtle things that we as the audience would have had no problem picking up on. And that's unfortunate, because the heart of this movie is really quite beautiful. The heart of the movie is really quite beautiful. And while the director does I think a very poor job going about communicating and telling that story in certain ways, the story he's telling and the points he is trying to get across, although he does a bad job with how he chooses to get them across, the points and the issues and the narrative turns that he's trying to communicate are really good. And by the end of this film, you do feel like you want to puff your chest out and say humanity can be amazing sometimes when you look at these guys. I think by the end of it overall, because of the basis of the true story and how remarkable the story is, And you've got actors in there like Jeff Bridges and Josh Brolin and Miles Teller. And Taylor Kitsch is actually great in this movie. And you guys know I think Taylor Kitsch is an underrated performer and an underrated actor. They give some great performances. Jennifer Connelly, I love seeing her pop up in anything she ever appears in. So it was great to see her in there as well. And it's just, the true story is just so good that I still enjoyed the film. I liked the film because of all that stuff. I would have loved the film. I would have been raving about this film if it wasn't for that one big wet blanket issue of every single scene. It felt like had to be the director who's trying to hammer it over your head. And I don't know, maybe that's a script issue, but if it is a script issue, the director should have been wise enough to realize, okay, this is a little too on the nose. We need to bring this back a little bit. We need to scale this back a bit. And once you guys see Only the Brave, and I do recommend you see it, but once you see Only the Brave, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So yeah, overall for me, Only the Brave is a movie worth seeing. Incredible true life story, some solid performances that's just held back from its potential of being a great movie from too much hit you over the head, too on the nose kind of dialogue and didactic kind of scenes and stuff like that, that just unfortunately kind of ruins it from being great, but it's still good. So anyway, if you guys get a chance, go ahead and check it out. All right, moving on now from that movie review, let's get to the first question that you guys have sent in.